the fact that you've reached out to them?
A little bit about our clients.
Okay.
Why we think they didn't reach their goals, right? So
We worked together so we lost that consistency, and then over the course of, and then we had a nice couple of weeks talk. I'm like a beast. All I'm trying to do
and granted, he was always 10 minutes early, he warmed up, we had a great why do I feel session? And for some you, I can give you the best package your results because you're not putting that effort. And
he was 300 plus pounds. Randy, then he had to change who he was hanging around. And he's down almost a little. Appreciate you going into this. Is there anything that you could help?
hey, what's up? My name is Carlo.
I'm Christian.
And we're Tall and Small, and we're just gonna do a lot of videos talking about fitness, in the gym, indoor, outdoor, anything fitness, we're gonna cover. So first off, we're gonna start talking about ourselves a little bit. We're gonna start with Christian.
I'm Christian. I am small. If you don't know me, you can look at our thumbnail and you'll figure out who I go by small. I am originally from California, live in Central Florida, and I love what I do really because of sports performance and strength and conditioning, which happen to be my two go-tos, my like big things. And then
So with me, since I was very young, I played soccer, so fitness has always been a part of my life. I didn't really get to the science of it or the actual practicality of it until I was like 18, where I actually joined the gym, had a personal trainer, and that's where I kind of started seeing the real part of fitness.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just lifting weights, it's why you're lifting weights. So as I got older, I learned a lot more. I helped out friends, family, and it just, helping people just makes everything a lot happier, and it gives you satisfaction knowing that you helped someone reach their goals.
where are you from originally?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico?
Yes.
And then you ended up here?
Yes.
Okay. Like, I mean, I think for me, like my why I got into it is very similar to playing sports when I was younger, and then all through high school I didn't really get into it until I was 18, going to school, and I was like, oh man, this could really benefit me. And then getting hurt and going through that whole rehab process of becoming strong again really helped me, and then getting my body back into the same condition that I had before, and learning that I could help others do that both mentally and physically was just, it's crazy.
So you're certified
Yes.
with
Yeah.
which company?
I actually have two: the National Academy of Sports Medicine, and then Personal Trainer Academy Global. So PTA Global and then NASM. And then I have I specify in strength and conditioning and exercise and stress management.
And was there something in particular, an event that made you kind of, let's go for personal training?
Yeah, actually, so before I even went to college, I really loved sports. I really loved helping. I loved lifting. My high school strength coach, well, he wasn't really a strength coach, but he was one of our football coaches. And he was our linebackers coach, Coach Bellucci. He, just watching him tear through weights was enough for me. I was like, man, I want to be like that one day. And then watching him talk to guys who were freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, and actually teaching them how to do things properly really motivated me to want to help not just athletes, but the common person, because everyone can benefit from strength training, not just you and me.
Right.
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 What about you?
So with me, the why really with my dad. My dad was, I would say, like 50 pounds overweight. And there was a point in time where he was trying the diets, he was trying everything except fitness. And once I started learning more about it and telling him like, hey, why not try this? Or hey, why not try this? And he actually joined the gym, and I taught him how to use machines. We started out with just machines. And fast forward, this was like 3 or 4 years ago. He's down to 50 pounds, and he's actually down probably now around 55 pounds, 60 pounds, and he still wants more.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, I got there, okay, I'll stop. No,
It's
yeah.
a bug. It's
Yes.
a bug. Like
Yes.
you see some sort of success, and you're like, yes, and you want to keep going after it.
Yes, and then it's easy. Everything's
Exactly.
easy.
Everything-
You want to do
yeah.
it. You get to do it. It's not like I have to do it.
Yeah.
So how long have you trained in a gym environment?
In a gym environment, what was it 2020 now? Probably about 3 years. So
3 years. Where do you start?
I started it. Technically, I wasn't hired, but I did start at UFIT beforehand. So I worked with a lot of the training staff, and that was the location, one of the locations. And I kind of like shadowed and I learned, and so then after that, I started working at UFIT, and then at the same time, on the other side of my training, I became a strength coach over at one of the high schools here in Orlando, and I was an assistant strength coach. And I learned as much as I could, and I kept going and building, and now I'm actually the head strength coach for the baseball team at University High School. So I guess, like, you could say that I started both at the same time for training. I mean, and I've been doing it for 3 years, so yeah. What about yourself?
So with gym environment, an actual job was 2018, so 2 years ago. I moved from Puerto Rico to Florida, had only one interview set up with, and it was UFIT too. And it worked out. It worked out. I had 1 week to try to make everything work. I rented a car, I was staying in a hotel. And if I didn't make it work that week, then I had to go back to Puerto Rico where my cert wasn't valid. So I had to get another cert and start all over again. So I made it work, stayed there, worked 2 years, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot. And we're gonna touch on this a little bit later, but the satisfaction, or at least the optimism of, hey, let's go out there and help people, kind of dies down a little bit.
Yeah, it does. I think the problem with being a trainer, so we are not just trainers. A lot of people look at us and are like, oh yeah, you're just some guy, some meathead that works in a gym. No. We are not just trainers, we become therapists, we become dietitians, we're not dietitians, but we become dietitians, we become friends, because I mean, and I'm not to knock any of these professions, but when you go to your trainer, you obviously work out with them, but you're talking to them. You're not looking at them as this man or woman that's trying to beat me down. You're looking at them as like, this is my stress relief. Like, this is my happy place. And yes, you're trying to make some sort of lifestyle change, but at the same time, you're looking for an outlet. And so whether it be psychologically or physiologically, you need that outlet, and that's what we become a lot of times. And so you're right. So as time goes on, that fire to really help kind of it dies down a little bit, and then it gets big again. But it's because we wear so many hats with just one job.
Now, would you agree that, let's say 90% of your clients go to the gym not to get results, but because of you?
As not selfish, but as
it's real, it's factual.
Big-headed as that makes me sound, yes, because it's. I mean, for example, when you go to certain restaurants, you go for the food,
right?
But sometimes you just go for the atmosphere. You don't necessarily I could go to two side-by-side Italian restaurants, for example, and I choose restaurant A over restaurant B, not because this has better Italian food, but because the waiters here are nicer.
Maybe you know someone.
Exactly. The bartender walks around, he's like, hey, whatever. But so it just, I think, as a trainer, most of my clients stay because of me.
Yeah. So and my point with that is the pressure is not can you get them to their goal, is can you get them in? Because a lot of these clients are afraid. They've never been to a gym, or the times they've gone there, they just feel intimidated.
Yeah.
They just go to the cardio machines, do their thing, and go out. And you gotta change that mentality. Like, hey, it's not that bad to go and lift weights next to people. You just gotta do your thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that comfort and intimacy, it has to be part of the session. It indirectly, directly, it's there.
Exactly.
Right?
And I think to piggyback off of that point, the thing that people find most intimidating is not just the strength training, it is the commitment. It is the coming consistently and not just doing cardio, but going and doing a kettlebell swing, let's say, for example, or a bench press. And they could, because it's easy to walk in and kind of go, oh, I'm going to use that treadmill in the back corner. But it's hard to put yourself out in front of people and say, I'm going to strength train and do this, or I'm not even going to just strength train. I'm going to, do the Stairmaster in front of other people. And I think that once, even in everyday life, once people have that support system, which is me, that they have that support system to be able to climb those little speed bumps, they can tackle those bigger things. So like, and we'll talk about this later, like I've had clients where they come in and they're so used to just doing like a little ab thing here or there, but mostly living on like a treadmill or a bike, that when I say, okay, we're gonna go and squat, like, whoa.
Yep.
Whoa. And
we burst that bubble.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, hey, I know it's scary, but trust me, like, I'm not here to harm you.
Yep.
I'm here to help you. And I know that your body, your brain is fighting that and telling you he's not here to help you, but little by little, I'm going to show you that I'm here to help you. Because we're going to start somewhere small. We're going to start with, like a suitcase squat. And then we'll work our way to a goblet. And then we'll work our way to a Smith machine. And then we can work our way into a barbell. So like, I'm not just gonna throw you to the sharks. I have you. I'm gonna hold you. We're gonna go. Yeah.
And anybody can do it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Anybody can do it for 3 weeks, a month, maybe even 3 months.
Exactly.
But keeping at it and actually growing and progressing and actually seeing results is a whole other level.
Oh, it's a different monster. It's a totally different monster.
Doable.
It's very
doable.
And it's very doable. And I think that now, more than ever, especially with this pandemic, with COVID-19, there's so much psychological and physiological changes that you have to go through to be able to move into that direction. So, like, speaking of which, what do you think, coming back to the gym after this quarantine and everything's going on, what would you do to work your way back into a gym?
And well, there's a mental issue and then the physical issue. I've been going to the gym now for the last 2 weeks. I'm very cautious. At least the gym that I'm going now has bottles for everybody, so you can grab one, have it with you, always clean up before and after. That gives me a lot of peace of mind that okay, I know I'm doing my part to avoid everything. Not everybody's doing that, but you can't control everybody else.
Yeah, that's true.
You can only control yourself. So I'm doing everything. Physically, I think where a lot of people, if you haven't gone in yet to the gym or you're going, it's overdoing it, overworking, going every day, hard every day, expecting to do the same weights you did before the pandemic, before everything closed down. So I'm going every other day and I'm keeping myself in check. Like, let's say I was 90% before the pandemic where I wanted to be. Now I'm assuming I'm like a 60 or 50. Even if it feels easy, I know that my body can't go up to 90%.
Yes.
How about you? How about you with the whole pandemic?
I think psychologically, you have to take baby steps. So like for me, I didn't start going back to the gym right away when gyms opened. I waited probably about 2 weeks before I started going back. So I've actually been back in the gym for about a week and a half now, just going on 2 weeks. And the gym that I go to, similar, they have bottles that you take with you, and they have more sanitation stations, and they also have staff that actually goes behind you at probably every 15, 20, 30 minutes, and they clean everything. I'm not saying that they didn't do that before, but they do it even more now. And even then, because here in Florida, gyms can't operate with more than 50% of their capacity. So they are very strictly enforcing that whole 6 foot apart rule. And I mean, sometimes there are some people that fall through the cracks, but for the most part, they're walking around and they're making sure that they're giving people that peace of mind that, hey, we're going to help you, but you got to also help yourself. You got to do your part. And I think psychologically for me, seeing that has kind of eased me back going into the gym and calling my clients and texting my clients and saying, hey, we're going to get back into this soon and we're going to go, right? Physiologically, with my body on the other hand, very similar to you, just a little bit about my past few months. When the pandemic started over last year over in China, I was at 170 pounds and I was working towards my goals and my personal records and all that.
And that's a high weight, muscle wise.
Yeah,
that's a high weight for your height,
my height,
and your age and everything else.
Yeah. So March 17th, I was 177 pounds. My body fat was probably 14%, which for those of you that know body fat percentages, that's actually really low. And I was close to the best shape I've been. Not the best shape of my life, but I'm close to it. And going 3 months without working out, I went from eating 3,300 calories a day to 1,900, 2,000 calories, and that I went from 177 pounds to 158 pounds in 3 months. And so now going back to the gym, I know mentally I don't weigh the same. So without that same weight, I know I'm not going to push the same weight. Two, kind of like you, I know that what I was pushing March 17th is not going to be the same June 9th. So I have to accommodate to that. So going back into it, I kind of see how close can I get to that number? Working back up to that number. How close can I get to the number with help before I feel like I can't move that weight? And then I go and work from 60%. Right now I'm working 60% and going back up. And I think that physically, that's what you have to do. You can't jump right back in. You have to take baby steps. And with us being trainers, I think that's the hardest part. Because we have to take that mental step back with ourselves, knowing how we know how to get from point A to point B, but that actual distance is what messes us up as trainers mentally.
So with the why, and this is very important, I think, because it's coming from people that know about this field, right? What if someone came up to you and said, "Oh, I don't know why you're saying that. I've been lifting for a week and I'm close to all my maxes, and before the pandemic, I felt fine too. I feel like the pandemic never happened, and I was two months off from the gym. What would you say to someone like that?
The first thing I would say is that if you're lifting the same amount now and you haven't lifted in 3 months, what have you been taking?
Right.
Whatever you've been taking, give me some. I want some. Exactly. But my honest reaction would be you're going to get hurt very soon.
Yep.
Because the way that muscles work is they build over time and then they shrink over time. So you might be able to move that same amount of weight once, twice, whatever, when you come back, but you're not going to be able to keep that up because your capacity in your muscles for you're exerting when you're exerting power is so much smaller.
Yep.
Because you have lost a lot of that mass in your muscles and you've lost a lot of that power. So short term, you could probably move the same amount, but wait a week, wait 2 weeks. And
it adds on.
As crappy as it sounds, you're gonna tear something.
Yep.
And it's not a small tear. Like, for example, if before the pandemic, you deadlifted 400 pounds, right? And you go back, you deadlift that first week, you come back, you deadlift 400 pounds again. your body is quickly adapting to that, but it's not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
You come back that second week and you put yourself at risk of tearing your hamstring.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking like a mild tear, like a grade 1 tear. I'm talking grade 3 full tear where you're probably going to have surgery because
And 6 months
and
off.
six months off, you have rehab,
Yeah.
and the cost is through the roof. And you know, a year later, you come back and you're like, man, you know, you were right. And I tell you, unfortunately, I knew I was, and it sucks because I see people like that all the time now, post pandemic, where I see them lifting a lot of weight and they're struggling to get the weight up, not because it's a challenge for them. It's like 80%, 85%. It's because that's what they were doing before.
Yep.
And I can see that that's what they were doing before, and you can have all the confidence in the world that you can do it again, but physically, it's not going to happen.
No.
You know what? Actually, exactly.
So I would say to someone like that, let's go best case scenario. Let's say let's say he can actually lift the 400 pounds of deadlifts, 8 reps, right? Respectable. The first week he did 2 days where he lifted 400 pounds. It's gonna start being a diminishing return as it adds up. So that first week, 400, and it felt good, but then the soreness, the pain, muscle recovery, maybe you're not eating well. For example, you were eating 3,300 calories and going down to 2,000, could you lift that much eating 2,000 calories?
Yes.
Yes, but
On that day when I eat, you know,
on the day.
2 hours before I
Yes,
lift, and I'm
yes.
burning.
Yes.
But sustainably, no.
Sustainably, no. So even if best case scenario you can, that first week 400, that next week 400 is gonna feel worse.
Yeah.
The other week 400 is gonna feel even worse, and that's where your the injury comes in, right? Is it gonna be a grade 1 tear? Is it gonna be something that you have to take off for 1 month, 1 week, whatever?
Exactly.
It's not worth it. Rather than lifting 400, go for 315. Start there. Okay, it felt good. 325. Next week, good. Felt good. Okay, 335, and so on. That pride check has to be there. If not, it's just diminishing returns and you're just asking for an injury.
Exactly. And from a sports performance standpoint, so you can jump right back into it and do it, but if you've been off for 3 months, I guarantee you your range of motion is not the same.
Yep.
I
Flexibility,
guarantee your mobility and your flexibility is not the same. So yeah, you can, like you said, you can do it. But once you start to test that mobility again, it's not going to be there.
Yep.
And even me personally, I've seen it when I do. I call them zombie walks, but I think they're called Frankensteins. You know when you.
Oh, the crawling. Or
Yeah, no, not the crawling. The one where you're walking. And you kick your leg up as high.
Okay.
As you can.
Yeah.
So day 1 when I first came back, my mobility in my hips was so bad that I could get my foot to about
Hip level.
like 90 degrees.
Okay.
And then now we're about a week and a half into me coming back fully. And now I'm back to my range of motion where I can actually get my foot to my shoulder. You know, so going back to the deadlift, what if I had decided day 1 I was going to go with my max, with knowing that I can only get my foot to my shoulder or my foot to my hips?
Yep.
I'm going to get hurt.
Yep.
And I wouldn't be able to talk about how I can get my foot to my shoulder now a week and a half later.
Yep.
So I mean, that's just from a performance standpoint is that your mobility is going to lack, and I guarantee you. Even me myself, you haven't gone through mobility drills with the time off because you haven't been able to go anywhere. You've been stuck in your house, and if you've been stuck in your house, sometimes you've gotten stir crazy, so you go on a bike ride. You go on a run. Even then, you've been going on a run. So you're more aerobic focused than I am. So you would know, like when you go and run, and then you try to go on strength training, boom, and that really leads us into do's and don'ts of just the gym environment in general, and even not just gyms, but outdoor places like parks that have some sort of lifting areas.
Now with the gyms reopening, so we have one extreme where I want to go back like it never happened. What if I don't want to go back to the gym because of this? What would you recommend to people that are just avoiding everything, even physical exercises somewhere in their house because of this?
So I think the first thing that you have to do is attack this psychologically. Why are you avoiding physical exercise in your own home? Avoiding gym, that's fine. I get that. I understand that. But why are you avoiding it in your home? Is it because you feel most comfortable at home? Is it because you can't really challenge yourself at home? Like, why are you avoiding it? So then from there, I think once you've acknowledged your why you're avoiding it, you have to get up and you have to at least attempt 10 squats, attempt push-ups, incline push-ups. If you can't do anything, go on the wall, do a push-up. Something you have to attempt and try to put your foot in front of the other and start walking and then jogging and then running, and then eventually you'll become comfortable coming back to a gym. But I think an alternative, for someone who doesn't want to come back to a gym, if they can get that home workout started, I think parks. I'm a huge believer in here in Orlando you have Lake Underhill. And around Lake Underhill, you have a pull-up bar, and then you have push-up stations and all that. You don't feel comfortable using those stations, that's fine. But you can also use the grass around it for push-ups. You can lunge. You can do all those things outdoors, and get some sort of workout in outside of your home. So you're getting your cardio and you're getting also your strength, right?
So what you're saying is, don't let this be an excuse to not work out.
Exactly.
Oh, I don't want to work out because of the pandemic. Well,
exactly.
That's not really the excuse yet.
I think with anything in life, you can't let your circumstances dictate you. Because if you let your circumstances dictate you, it's going to snowball over and over and over again, to the point where you're looking at yourself and you're like, holy smokes, this isn't me. And you have to start climb back again. That's not terrible, but I think that as we come back from this pandemic, we have to take hold of what we can take hold of, control what we can control. Control what we can control. Let go of what we can't control, and move forward with what we can control.
Yes. With one of my clients, we started out she had two pieces of equipment. And she refuses to go to the gym, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But she was always asking me, hey, what can I buy? Hey, what can I do? Hey, can you train me at this time for half an hour through FaceTime, Zoom, whatever. As long as you're trying to do something in your home and not let that pandemic excuse, the pandemic is real. Like, I'm not saying don't worry about that. But if you're in your house and you're still denying to work out, there's something off with that picture. Yeah. Especially if you have resources out there like the internet. I'm not the biggest fan of just researching blindly, but at least there's something out there that you can follow. Yeah. But yeah, like, even if you don't have equipment, that's not really an excuse.
No. Because you can take, so I had a client who asked me the same question, and he was curious. I said, do you have a backpack? And he said, yeah, backpack. Take your backpack. Yep. Hurricane season's coming, so I know you have canned goods. Take those cans, put them in your backpack. Add some weight, you can do squats. Put the backpack in front of you. You can do some lunges. Carry the backpack in your hands. You can do curls. Yep. You push the backpack, holding the backpack in front of you. You can do an overhead press. Yep. So, even if you don't have equipment, like your traditional gym equipment, take your things from around your house and find a way to do it. So
in a safe way.
In a very safe way. So yes, I've seen some videos and I'm like, but I definitely think you should never use this. You shouldn't use anything that's around you as an excuse to not move forward with you in your life, especially with lifting weights or becoming healthier. Because, at the end of the day, why is your excuse the pandemic when my excuse wasn't the pandemic? My reason to want to go back was the pandemic. So I'm not saying you should compare yourself, but I'm saying reevaluate what's scaring you. Yep. Yeah. So I think going forward that would be the best practice, and I know for you have a different set of clientele, so it's different in how you would try to motivate that person to look at the pandemic in a different way.
Yeah. So with do's and don'ts on the gym right now, and it's not post-pandemic, but we're still in the pandemic, but post like actually reopening.
Yeah, we're on that downward curve.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the do's that you can do, and we kind of touched on them, but let's start listing them. Like, what are they for you?
So I have top 3 do's that you can do. Mobility exercises. Don't jump straight back in. Sorry, jump straight back into weights with dumbbells and stretching. Post-workout stretching. Those are my top 3. Start your workout with mobility. Do your workout with dumbbells, and end your workout with stretching. Because you've been sedentary, you've been sitting for 3 months. So now you have to get back into mobilizing those joints. You have to get back into building that strength and balancing, relearning how to balance weight, in a non-proprioceptive range. So if you're used to bench pressing, when you get back to it, I would highly suggest, just like a police officer would suggest you wearing a seatbelt, I would highly suggest that you use dumbbells instead of a barbell, because you have to go through those cues all over again. The pinching of the shoulder blades, the tucking of your shoulders down, putting your lats in your pocket. When you're bringing those dumbbells down, you're keeping your elbows tight to your body. Because if you jump right back into a barbell, you can't do those things. And then my last do is stretching. Always end with stretching, because again, you've been sedentary for 3 months. Those muscles that were once long and strong are now short and overactive. So they're tight. But no, my do's, what are your do's?
My do's would be ego check first. Because you're not the same person. You are the same person, but physically, and what your body's capable of is completely different than pre-pandemic. So ego check, that's the biggest one. Going into stretching, a proper warm-up. And we're not saying like 20-minute warm-up or whatever. If you do a good 3-minute warm-up with a little bit of mobility, stretching, getting your heart rate up, that's okay.
Yeah.
And don't jump into the highest weight you can after that. Build it up, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like as you go into the gym and psychologically see that, hey, it's okay to work out as long as you're being very cautious about the cleanliness and about how you're lifting. That's okay. Just if you can last there 30 minutes, okay, that's 30 minutes that you did today, better than nothing.
Yeah.
And then the other day would be 35, 40, well, whatever, build it up. Find what works for you. What works for me doesn't work for you, or 100%. Vice versa, whatever. Find your strength. And now our most favorite things, the don'ts that we see all the time on a daily basis.
So you start with your don'ts.
My don'ts. Okay, so the ego lift, right? So if you feel like you're good at squats, and you're going with a high weight, let's say like for you 100 pounds, it's a lot. Would you go for it, or would you start lower, right? So if I know that I'm doing something wrong with the lift, I'd rather get a personal trainer or someone that works there and ask them, hey, can you spot me and tell me what you think? Now the ego lifter would say, 100 pounds, I can do that.
Piece of cake.
Yes, and that's where you see all these videos on YouTube where they're falling on their face, they're falling backwards, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, just leave your ego on the door. If you need to ask for help, ask for help. Personal trainers, at least where I've worked at and what I've seen, they're not meatheads. They're actually there to help. They actually like people coming up to them and ask them questions. We're not there to judge. Yeah. We're not there to be demeaning in any way, belittle anyone. We want to help. Just because someone can lift 300 pounds doesn't mean they don't want to help someone who can lift 50 pounds.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. So yeah, don't ego lift, please. And please don't leave your area messy.
Yes.
Right? and more now than ever, because we are doing a pandemic where we want cleanliness. We want to feel safe in our environment, in the fitness environment, work environment, whatever environment. So if you can give yourself peace of mind, and by giving yourself peace of mind, you can give the person next to you peace of mind, everybody wins. So what are your don'ts?
Definitely your ego lifting is definitely a don't. Leaving your personal area dirty, definitely a big don't. Pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. I think one of my biggest don'ts, all the time, is supplements. Don't go out buying supplements because you've been out of the gym for 3 months and you think, oh, I have to go buy 3 pounds of protein. You don't need to go buy 3 pounds of protein. You don't need to go buy a bunch of different supplements. I'm not saying supplementing your diet is bad. But what I'm saying is eat better food. Instead of eating Burger King, go home and make that burger yourself, right? Instead of getting fried chicken from KFC, whatever, go home and fry that, and maybe fry that chicken yourself in an air fryer, or bake it, or do something. So get your nutrition from food, not from supplements. So that's my biggest don't coming back is don't rely on supplementation to get you back to where you are. Another big don't, going back to the gym, don't be afraid to not just ask for help, but reach out to your friends and bring them to the gym. Because think about it, you've been inside for 3 months, they've been inside for 3 months. And they may not feel comfortable coming back to the gym, but just the fact that you've reached out to them can make them a little bit more comfortable with not just coming back, but being around you. So don't isolate your friends. Don't isolate the people that you want to be around because you're going back to the gym and you're feeling big and strong. And my last don't, specifically with weightlifting, and this kind of goes into ego lifting. Don't jump into putting together a workout that requires 50 movements.
Yes.
If you're for example, if you're going through a push workout, don't bench press, dumbbell bench press, chest flies, shoulder raises, shoulder press, decline bench press, dips. Don't do all that. You're coming back, like bench press, overhead press, do some sort of maybe tricep extensions. And shoulder raises. Call it a day. You're coming back after 3 months. Chill. Don't jump into the 27,000 workouts you had before. The 3-hour workout you had before. Work with 45 minutes for now, and then we can go from there. But those are my top 3 don'ts. Don't try to fix it with supplementation. Don't isolate yourself and your friends, and don't try to repeat the same number of movements that you did before.
All right, so now let's talk about a little bit about our clients.
Okay.
Let's start with clients that, and we're not trying to single out any client.
Definitely not.
We just want to share why we think they didn't reach their goals, right? So let's start with those. Give me one client of yours that you think didn't do enough to reach their goals.
So this client, we worked together for maybe 3 months. She had a great support system. She had her boyfriend, she had her family, great support system. But her problem was consistency. And I knew that going in. And I would call her from work every day and say, hey, Angelique, just to remind you, tomorrow we have a session. And she would say, oh yeah, I'll be there. The next day, Angie would call me. I can't make it. Why? What happened? What happened? Did you get called into work? No, I just woke up late. Okay, we can come in later today. Like, that's fine. But I really want to X, Y, or Z. So we lost that consistency, and then over the course of the 3 months that we were working together, she saw a weight change in a negative way, behavioral changes in a negative way.
Did she blame it on you?
Initially, yes. And then we had a nice coming to Jesus talk in which I sat down with her and her boyfriend, and I said, listen, I'm like a pencil. All I'm trying to do is help you write whatever you want to write. I'm a tool. That's it. You are the person who's dictating to me what you want.
Just because they're paying for a service doesn't mean they'll get results. Exactly.
So, that was consistency. If you pick one, and then why did they get to their goals?
Well, This guy, overweight, on the older side, high 50s, or low 60s, I can't remember, but that range. He only came for our session, and granted, we only saw each other once a week. And granted, he was always 10 minutes early, he warmed up, we had a great session. But let's say 2 months in, he started asking me, why do I feel any results yet? And I straight up told him, like, hey, I only see you when you're in a session with me. And he, for some reason, he thought that coming in, paying for the service, magically results would happen. And there's a line where I can help you until this line. Everything else, it's on you. I can give you the best workout ever. I can give you the best program ever. I can give you nutritional advice, everything. I can do everything right and still not get you results because you're not putting that effort. And with me, it was, okay, he was coming into the sessions, but he wasn't coming in after that. And it's so frustrating because they make time for the session, but then they don't make time for themselves to come into the gym. So the same effort you put, like, yes, I'm there, like someone's waiting for you, yes. But then it's the same accountability.
Exactly.
But for some reason, it doesn't connect. If someone's not waiting for me in the gym, I don't have to go. Wrong. You still have to go. Let's go for one that actually got results.
So, man, I have two that I could think of that I got results, but I'll stick with one. So I met this person back in August of last year, July maybe, July of last year, and this person came to me and he was 300 plus pounds, very unhappy with himself, and he said, listen, Christian, I want to see a change. And I said, okay, I can help you with that. And that was the first thing, was coming to me and asking for help. Asking for help isn't easy, but Randy then put together himself and he said, I'm gonna commit to this. And over the first 3 months, he went from 325 pounds to 305 pounds. So 20 pounds in 3 months. And granted, it wasn't easy because we had to change nutritional habits, we had to change work habits, and he had to change who he was hanging around outside, because when you add stress to it, your body's going through external and internal stress, so it's going to treat it the same way, right? So he had to change. So that was the first 20 pounds. Now he's down to 270.
Wow.
And that we're in June of this, so a little less than a year.
Yeah,
he's down almost a little over 50 pounds. But it has very little to do with me. It has everything to do with him. And before the pandemic, he texted me and he said, hey man, I love what you've been doing for me. I really, really appreciate you. Going into this, is there anything that you could help me with to keep me going? And I said, honestly, with all the strength training that we do, and that was the biggest thing for me, was getting him to lift weights, because cardio is great. Don't get me wrong, cardio is fantastic. But when you really want to lose weight, you have to lift weights, because muscle feeds more than fat. Muscle burns more calories than fat. So if you have more muscle on your body, that's why those athletes, you see those guys are super jacked. They eat 6,000-7,000 calories a day. They're always hungry.
They're probably one of the worst eaters in the whole planet.
Oh yeah. me when I was 100-something pounds, I ate 5 times a day. Like, I did 2 things. I worked and I ate. That was it. I didn't go out and party. I didn't do anything because I didn't have any money to go out and do all those things. I was spending $200-300 every other week on food. But I digress. So Randy, before, he asked me what he could do, and I said, well, first thing we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to cut back on how much you're eating, because you're gonna be
not the same.
sedentary. Yeah, so it's not the same. Second thing that we're gonna have to do is change how you're lifting weights. Not how, but what you're lifting. So we went back to the idea with the cans and all that, like I said earlier. And through the pandemic, so the 3 months that we were off, he still lost 15 pounds. and that's where he's at now with his 270. And as we go forward and we begin to go back to the gym, he has come in on his own and start to reestablish weightlifting without me, because he wants to reestablish that drive without me having to push him. So I think that is my biggest success story, pandemic wise. But yeah, he's my biggest. What about yourself?
Before that, going back to your cardio point, I think is very important, because a lot of the times you see people come in consistently to the gym and go straight for the cardio machines,
yes,
bikes, treadmills, Stairmasters, whatever. Why would you say that's not the best strategy?
So from a strength and conditioning standpoint, when you do your cardio and that's it, you are strengthening your lungs and your heart, and that's it. You are, for lack of better reasoning, you are just creating different pathways in your heart to avoid a heart attack. That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
So jumping to that first and tiring yourself out, you're not leaving any room to exert any extra energy or effort into weightlifting. So you're not then creating more muscle mass around your body. So then help when you have to deal with the small things, whether it is moving a box or a big thing like moving your car if you get stuck on the side of the road.
Yep.
But cardio is great. Like I said, cardio is great, but going there first and tiring yourself out just doing cardio does not help you get stronger, because you're not exerting the maximal amount of effort that you can with weights. I'm not saying that you can't go and run for 20 minutes. I've seen you do it. I've seen you go run for 20 minutes and then go push out 185 pounds on a bench press. But vice versa, like for me, I've seen myself go and squat 300 pounds and then go and row for an hour. So where you're more concerned with conserving your body and making your heart and lungs stronger, I am more concerned with getting stronger and pushing my body to limits that are strength based and not cardio based. So like, I'm not saying I don't want to avoid a heart attack, but I am saying that cardio is not my priority. So I don't do it first. So like, you do it first because you're trying to keep aerobically sound. You're trying to stay in the shape, and this also has to do with our backgrounds. Like you playing soccer and me playing football and baseball, primarily baseball. Because
very different.
It's a different sport. It's not like soccer, where soccer is constant running back and forth. I don't remember the stat that I saw, but the average soccer player runs 10.5 miles a game. 10.5 miles. The average baseball player,
maybe a little bit less, but it's a very high number.
Exactly. We don't run long distances, but we sprint from everything we do in baseball is a sprint from point A to point B. So whether it is catching a fly ball or fielding a ground ball, we're sprinting to that spot and then getting through to the next thing we're doing. But sorry.
But summarizing that, right? Yeah. So cardio is one system in your body.
Yes.
And then strength training is a completely different system.
Yeah.
You want to work out both. It's the people who just do cardio and are fit are probably doing cardio, 10 miles a day. 15 miles a day, and they're very, very thin. But that's not your average person. That's not sustainable unless you've been running marathons your whole life, or track and field, whatever. To be realistic, your better path to losing weight would be strength training. It's a lot more doable. Your cardio can be 20, 15 minutes of interval training, and boom, you're done with cardio the rest of the day, or maybe even for the next 2 days. Because if you add that weightlifting component, it adds more to it. While cardio, maybe in the moment you lose a lot more calories, but the next day your body already recovered.
And to add to that point, conditioning versus cardio. So, do you know what cardio makes you good at?
Cardio.
Do you know what conditioning makes you good at?
Everything else.
Everything else. So like, I've seen you run on a treadmill for forever, but then I've also seen you go out and do sprints and do cleans and do kettlebell swings. So yes, you do your cardio, but you also get your conditioning in.
Yep.
And so your cardio has become better because of your conditioning.
Yep.
And for me, I hate cardio. For me, like I can row for an hour because I do 100 kettlebell swings. I'll do I'll do 50 devil's presses, which I miss. I don't actually miss it, but I miss. I can do 50 devil's presses. I do dynamic movements that force me to condition my body so that my heart can handle 90% of my max heart rate or 60% of my max heart rate, and not when I get to that 90 I don't feel like passing out.
Right.
My body has learned to adapt so that way my internal cooling system or my radiator kicks on and I start to sweat, I start to control my breathing, just
Right.
stuff like that.
So we can add that to a don't do only one thing at the gym.
Exactly.
Do your cardio, do your strength training. They're both way better, way more beneficial in the long term, and way more sustainable. Because if you get tired of one, you can just do the other.
Exactly.
With my client story, the successful one, pandemic-wise, I'm not big on New Year's resolution. I'm one to,
Same.
I'll hear you out, but in my mind it would be like, come February, it's not gonna be real. But with this client, she was different. Like something about it, I just believed it. I was sold to her path. And we started training together in November. So it was like a month to get to know her body, what she can do, what she can't do. But once January 1st hit, something in her changed. Like, I want to do squats, I want to do deadlifts, I want to do bent over rows, like compound movements that for the average person may seem hard and actually avoid them. She was asking me to do that and teach her how to do it. And compound movements are relatively hard, yes, but they're not hard to teach.
Oh, no,
they're not hard to learn. So once you have that momentum into that and the willingness to learn and grow, progress, you're there. That's all we thrive for that. When we see a client like that, it's like, yes, let's go. And yeah, so January 1st, turning point. I told her by July, I want you, she was, if I remember correctly, around 227.
Okay, yeah.
I told her by July, I want you at least in the 190s. Anywhere 191, 193, 199, somewhere along that range. And June, right now, she's like 209, 208, so we're right on track. And people, let's say I told her, in 6 months you were gonna lose 25 pounds. She would say, oh, the average person would say, that's not too much. I'm like, yeah,
that's a lot.
That's a lot. There's so many factors into that 25 pounds. It's not only just losing the weight, it's actually doing stuff to lose that weight.
Exactly.
25 pounds may seem like a small number, micro, but macro, hey, you're doing a lot and you're doing something right. So yeah, with her, once the gym's closed, she asked me, can we do Zoom? Can we do it 2 times a week? She didn't even worry about paying me. She was gonna pay me, like, I don't care, I just want to keep this going. I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. And every week, not every week 3 times a week, but basically every other week we do 3, but minimum 2. And it's 1 hour. She's been getting a lot more equipment, but we started out with very few equipment and still got in a great workout. So if you really want to do it, you just gotta put yourself out there and do it, right? So yeah, with her, I've been super happy, and then we're right there on the 190 for July. I want to say July 31st, but if we can do it before, let's July. So yeah, anything you want to add?
So I want to talk about our goals before we close. Personally, so my personal goal for myself this year is, and I'm not talking about as a trainer. I'm talking about like my strength. So my strength as a lifter. My goal is to not just get back to where I was before, but I want to be able to lift smarter than I did before. And I think that going forward, you know, I'm going to lean a lot more on my coworkers and a lot more on not just my current coworkers, but my coworkers in the past, and for knowledge, because what I don't know, you could know. What you don't know, I don't know, Jose could know, or you know, Mike or Steven or whatever. Like they could know. So.
And what people can see here, like we have such respect for each other, like each other's opinions. We know don't know everything, and even if we know, I want to know your version of it, and how can I kind of put it into mine and make it better.
Exactly.
Like we're as long as we're hearing someone out, and even if we think they're wrong, maybe they can say one thing that you're like, oh, I can put that in my thing.
So, but that see, not just lifting, but like in life.
In life too.
Yes. Like, if you're so stuck in your own opinion, you'll never get smarter.
Yep.
So with us, you'll never get stronger. But you have to be able to break yourself down, not ego lift, and realize that not everyone, that you don't know everything. You have to be able to take in some sort of information, guidance, constructive criticism from someone else, because they are going to see something differently than you are. For example, you've never seen your own face. You've only seen reflections of your face. So when someone else has seen your face and described your face to you, you have to go based on what they're saying, right? Okay. So it's the same thing with lifting. You've never seen yourself lift. You've only seen reflections of yourself lift, or videos of yourself lift. So you have to go based on what other people see. So they can see, if you're deadlifting, for example, they can see that little round in your back that's outside the green and the yellow zone that puts you in the red zone. You might not see it in the video because you're like, oh, no, that's how I lift. But they're seeing it real time, you know?
Yep.
So I think for my goal for me is just to lift smarter this year.
And going back to that point, a lot of people think that because we're trainers, we do everything perfect. No. Or maybe it looks perfect, but we're so hard on ourselves.
I am very, I am very hyper. What was one of the first things that you said to me when we first met?
You're so conscious of yourself?
I'm way too, because I have a lot of injuries that I've rehabbed over the years, but one specifically where I tore my supraspinatus in my back. And I would constantly come in and I would say, I gotta, I know I'm not getting enough out of my right arm, like I'm not pitting. And you would, Christian, you are so hyper vigilant of your body.
Yep.
I have to be, because if I'm not, I'm going to slack. And it's not because I'm trying to be perfect, it's because I know that sloppy lifting leads to injuries.
Yep. And where maybe I'm a little bit more laid back, but at the same time, if you see a squat or you see a personal trainer squat or whatever, and you think they're doing perfect, they're probably like hating on
picking themselves apart.
Yes. So don't be intimidated by other people lifting, or maybe the other way, they think they're doing great, and they're actually not. It's like we see so many things that we could tweak, and it's like, no, bro.
I think, but with that too, I think being respectful and telling people, like giving them that constructive criticism is huge, because as trainers, we've had to learn to humble ourselves. Because, like I said, there's someone that knows more than you out there. And I've been smacked in the face quite a few times, especially in the strength and conditioning, the strength and conditioning world with different coaches, and about how I lift. Because for me, I am short. But my legs are longer than my torso. So when I set up for a bench, or I set up for a squat, or I set up for a deadlift, it's not the same as someone who is proportional that is short. So I have to be humble and listen to what they're telling me.
Yep. So going back to the goal, my goal would be just like a reality check. Don't overdo it. I can't assume that I'm gonna get to where I was in a week or 2 weeks. And just going back into the routine. And maybe that's more like a short-term goal. Long-term goal. Lose the extra poundage that I gained from the pandemic.
Mine is the opposite direction.
But like the biggest thing is, as long as you're making it a priority in your day
Yeah.
or in your week,
Yeah.
you'll get there. So fixing that psychological, like, okay, I need that drive back, I gotta get in there. Even if I don't want to, I gotta get in the gym. Even if I do a 30 minutes lifting session, hey, make it the best 30 minutes that you can. But yeah, that's my thing. Anything else you want to add before we finish this?
No, I think we've talked about a lot.
A lot.
But I the funny thing is we've talked about a lot, but there's still so much to cover.
Yes. So if anybody has any questions about anything, just write us.
Yeah.
We love questions.
And we'll keep you anonymous, but we'll definitely answer. We'll make a list of the questions. We'll probably bounce them back and forth off of each other, and if we don't know the answer, we'll research it because, like I said,
we love learning.
and I know more people that want to learn.
Yeah.
So I think what's your Instagram?
Right now, KCC Pro 7 on Instagram. Facebook, just my name, Carlo Morel, Karlo Morel, Morell.
Okay, my Coach Berkeley on Instagram. So Coach, all one word, Berkeley on Instagram, and then same thing on Facebook. My first name, Christian, Christian, Berkeley, Berkeley. Shoot us your questions, and we'll be more than happy to answer them. Even if you want to go to Twitter, I don't know if you have a Twitter.
Not my best social media.
If you want to go to Twitter, I get a lot of my strength questions there. You can look me up, Berkeley, Berkeley _9, and I'll try to do my best to answer your questions from there.
Cool. All right. See you next week.